Hello and welcome to this explanation video, which is part of Act 1, Scene 2. As I said, we are doing this in 4 parts. We've already dealt with what the soothsayer said about the Ides of March to Julius Caesar. Then the second part, which is a rather long part, involving Cassius and Brutus, how Cassius brainwashes Brutus. Now, while they were talking, they heard the sound of some shout. So they're obviously very curious to know. And Brutus is on record saying that he fears that Caesar may be asked by the people, by his supporters, to become the king. So the element of fear, of apprehension, is something extremely important as far as the character sketch of Brutus is concerned. Now let's come to part 3, which is a short part, and then the fourth part again will be a long part, because that again involves a lot of Machiavellian moves made by Cassius. Okay, so now they have heard the sound, and he has already told Brutus that you pull Casca by his sleeve so that we can come to know what happened there while these two were talking between themselves. So re-enter Caesar and his train. Train means the retinue, that is the group of supporters. Just like if you have ever seen a chief minister coming, for example, or any minister, he or she will always be surrounded by supporters, by secretaries, by some other people. So similarly, Caesar is always surrounded by fellow senators like Mark Antony, etc. Okay, Brutus says, I will do so, but look you, Cassius, the angry spot doth glow on Caesar's brow, and all the rest look like someone who had been chidden train. Okay, what does he mean? He says that I will do so, as you say, that to pull Casca by his sleeve and ask him what had really happened. But look at Caesar. So it shows that Brutus is extremely observant. His powers of observation are extremely good. So he says that Caesar's face is full of anger. The angry spot on doth glow. Okay, so just look at the choice of words, that there is an angry spot that is glowing on Julius Caesar's face. Okay, so that's what he says. The angry spot doth glow on Caesar's brow. Brow means on his forehead. So there is some kind of an anger that you can see on his forehead. Okay, and all the rest look like a chidden train. Now, the others who are with him, the train, the retinue of his supporters, they look like they have been scolded by Caesar. So he's immediately able to look at the facial expressions and come to his own conclusions that something has gone wrong outside. Okay, something has gone wrong because Caesar is looking angry. Look at this for MCQs, and the others look like they have been scolded. So this word is important. This word is important. So please note down these words, because in MCQs you can be actually questioned on the kind of word that has been used by Shakespeare at a particular spot. Okay, Calpurnia's cheek is pale and Cicero looks with such ferret and such fiery eyes. So he says Calpurnia's cheek. Calpurnia is who? Calpurnia is Julius Caesar's wife. इतने सारे characters होते हैं, you sometimes forget. Okay, brain fade moment types. So Calpurnia's cheek is pale. So she is looking a little, as though something has happened which has left her with rather pale complexion. While Cicero, he's yet another important senator, is looking with such red. Ferret means such red and fiery eyes. Okay, red and fiery eyes. Okay, there's almost like alliteration happening here, ferret and fiery sound a little similar, right? And as we have seen him in the Capitol being crossed in the conference by some senators, and Cicero is looking with such red and angry eyes, like the way we have seen him at the Capitol, where all the conferences will take place, when he is opposed at the meetings. Conference means at the meetings by some senators who cross-question the decision that has been made by Cicero on a particular subject or on a particular issue, and at that time he gets angry. That's how he's looking at right now. So he has spoken about who all? He has spoken about Caesar. He has spoken about all in general. Then he has spoken about Caesar's wife, and then he has spoken about Cicero. Okay, so you need to remember that he has spoken about 3 individuals and the group in general. So Brutus' powers of observation coming to the fore out here. Cassius says, Casca will tell us what the matter is. Casca will be able to tell us what really happened, and Casca is pulled away whilst Caesar is speaking to Antony, Mark Antony. Okay, let's move forward. Now, the Casca, Brutus, Cassius conversation, we'll see a little later. We'll do that in explanation video number 4. Here we are going to focus on the conversation that is taking place between Caesar and Antony. So he calls him and Caesar says, let me have men about me that are fat, sleek-headed men and such as sleep o' nights. Yon Cassius has a lean and hungry look. He thinks too much. Such men are dangerous. So a comment on the kind of appearance of Cassius. And Caesar, while he can see Cassius, he's actually commenting on his looks, and as a result of which he's making certain, he's arriving at some, he's jumping to some conclusions. Okay, so he says that if only he were fatter, I'm not afraid of him. I'm not, I've gone ahead. I've gone ahead. He says, I want the men around me to be fat. I want the men around me to be fat and healthy looking men, because that Cassius has a lean and hungry kind of look. He thinks too much, and such men are dangerous. So he's saying that the lean and hungry look of Cassius. So while you're doing ever doing a character explanation or character sketch of Cassius, please use this particular key phrase. This is important because it gives you an idea about how Shakespeare wanted this particular actor to look like. That a lean kind of a person, someone who has a slightly hungry look, not someone who is fat. Okay, so that is something, because Caesar is saying that such people, such men are dangerous. Such men are dangerous. So these two are important key phrases when it comes to talking about Cassius. Okay, so he says that Cassius, yon means that Cassius has a lean and hungry look. He thinks too much, which is again a very apt. So what it shows is that Caesar also is pretty perceptive about people. Caesar is actually quite perceptive. He is able to gauge Cassius' personality, because we have already come to know that Cassius is indeed like that. And when he says he thinks too much and he says such men are dangerous, he actually has an idea that Cassius is actually an untrustworthy kind of person. Yet another point that you need to remember. So Caesar, if you ever get a question about Caesar and Cassius, you need to talk about the two instances that Cassius mentioned, the hatred or the dislike that Cassius has towards Caesar and the political jealousy. And Caesar also is not someone who is extremely fond of Cassius, right? So that is again the interpersonal relationship between Cassius and Caesar is an integral part, an important part as far as this play is concerned. So all these phrases are something which you need to underline with a gray pencil in your book, so that it will be easy for you to remember, recall it and use it in your answers. Okay. Antony says, fear him not, Caesar, he is not dangerous. He is a noble Roman and well given. Now Antony seems to be more positively inclined towards a lot of people, including Cassius, and you realize that his judgment is pretty erroneous. It's pretty wrong. So he says, do not be afraid of him. He's not dangerous. He's a noble Roman and well disposed. That is, well given means well disposed. That is, of a good nature. Okay, understood till here? Shall we move on? Caesar says, would he were fatter, but I fear him not. You know, I wish he were fatter, but I am not afraid of him, even though I think he is what? Dangerous. Such men are dangerous, he says. Yet if my name were liable to fear, I do not know the man I should avoid so soon as that spare Cassius. Okay, so what he is saying is that, one, he's making 2 points out here. I wish he were fatter, but I am not afraid of him. Third point, and yet if I was capable of being scared, if in that case, the person who I would like to avoid most is spare Cassius. That is, avoid more than means spare. You know, spare has been used that, you know, that I would kind of avoid meeting him. So spare has been used in the sense of avoid. Okay, so Cassius is someone I would like to avoid. So he says that he reads a lot. Okay, so these are the 3 points that he has been made out here by Caesar vis-a-vis Cassius. Then he says he reads much, that he reads a lot, he's a great observer, and he looks quite through the deeds of men. What is he saying? That he reads a lot, he's a great observer, and he sees the hidden motives behind the actions of men. Quite through the deeds of men means that he's able to see through. So he's a very left-handed kind of a compliment, and it's not being said in a praising kind of manner. He's not kind of complimenting him. He's saying it in a negative sense, that such a person is dangerous, and such a person I would like to avoid if I was a kind of person who was scared. He loves no plays, and thou dost, Antony. He says he's not someone who is fond of theater plays like you do. Okay, he does not listen to music. So all these things, because these kind of things of being interested in fine arts, okay, of interested in fine arts, dealing with plays and dealing with music, was seen as the the indulgence of a refined kind of a man. That someone who is an extremely refined kind of a person would kind of enjoy plays, would enjoy music, and that is something which Cassius doesn't do. And therefore, in Caesar's book, he is not someone to be trusted. He is someone who is dangerous. Okay, so if you get a question about what are the reasons Caesar gives, and this can be a possible question, what are the reasons that Caesar gives that he would not trust Cassius, you need to mention all these points, preferably using many of the keywords that Shakespeare has used. So please, I'm reiterating it, emphasizing it for your benefit so that you get full marks in such a question. Seldom he smiles. He doesn't smile, and smiles in such a sort as if mocked himself and scorned his spirit that could be moved to smile at anything. He does not smile, point number one. And if he smiles in such a way as if he's mocking a part of himself, almost like a smirk. His smile is more like a smirk. What is a smirk? That kind of a smile, a very sarcastic kind of a smile, where you're not kind of smiling with happiness, but smiling with a bit of scorn, right? Or mocking. So he says as if he is mocking a part of himself that could be moved to smile. That there would be a part of Cassius which may want to smile, but another part of Cassius is mocking that part of Cassius which wants to smile. So you see the kind of analysis that Caesar is doing as far as Cassius is concerned. And such men are never comfortable while someone is at a greater rank than them. This is Caesar's best and most accurate kind of analysis as far as Cassius is concerned. So he says that such men as he be never at heart's ease whilst they behold a greater rank than themselves. And this is precisely what is the problem of Cassius. As you have seen in the previous explanation video, that's precisely the problem that Cassius has vis-a-vis Julius Caesar, that such men are never at heart's ease. They are never kind of comfortable. Heart's ease means the heart is beating finely, means you are comfortable. Are never comfortable while they behold a greater rank than themselves. Unse upar hote hain, so they are not comfortable with that kind of a situation. They always want to be the top ranking person. And therefore are they very dangerous, and therefore they are very dangerous. He has already said that such men are dangerous, and then he has given these 3-4 more reasons, and therefore he says such men are dangerous. I rather tell thee, that is tell you, what is to be feared than what I fear, for always I am Caesar. So he says that such men are therefore very dangerous, and I am telling you what should be feared rather than what I fear, because after all I am Caesar. Okay, so there is a sense of pride. Come over to my right side, and this is an interesting kind of a detail. So he says, because I am Caesar, I would rather tell you what is to be feared than what I fear, because there is a difference. You understand this line? Caesar, because he is Julius Caesar, so there is a sense of pride because he has won many battles, he has had many victories. So he says, I am Julius Caesar, so I can't tell you what I fear, but I will be able to tell you what is to be feared. Okay, what should be feared, or what should be, one should be wary of. I will not tell you that I am scared of something, because Julius Caesar cannot be scared of something. So there is a sense of great degree of self-pride when Julius Caesar says that, because I am Caesar. For always I am Caesar, right? Come on my right side, because this ear is deaf. I can't hear anything with my left ear. So come on to my right side so that I can hear you, and tell me honestly what you think of Cassius. This is my opinion, though Antony has already said that he's a noble Roman, but Caesar clearly has a totally different opinion about Cassius. Okay, now and then Caesar exits with his train, except Casca, who stays behind because he has been pulled away by Brutus to speak to him and Cassius. Now, the interesting part is that there are no classical sources which mention that this hearing problem existed as far as the real Julius Caesar in 44 BC at that time existed. There is no such record that he did have a hearing problem. So you don't know whether Shakespeare made it up to lend some kind of a dramatic effect to the personality of Julius Caesar. Okay, with this we stop explanation video number 3. This, as I said, was a short one. The fourth one is going to be important. Not that this was not important, because it gave you a very deep glimpse into what Julius Caesar thought of Cassius, and this is extremely significant in light of what happens later in the play. Okay, and this is a part from where question can really come, as I have already explained. In part 4, we will talk about the conversation between Cassius, Casca, and Brutus. Okay, so come back for Act 1, Scene 2, the concluding explanation video, the explanation video number 4. Tata, bye bye. I hope Julius Caesar में मजा आ रहा है. Bye bye.